starting videos and ending videos.
Right. Okay.
Right, are we live yet? Let us know when we're live. The green arrows are all ticked at the top.
We are live.
Yeah, but hang on. As ever, where's my countdown?
Countdown's here. You want me to...
I couldn't stop it.
Appropriate videos for a good weekend, though, aren't they? Very appropriate videos.
They all got battered.
Good evening,
very nice to see that footage from the Labour Party conference.
First of all, to all of you who are tuned in last week for my interview with Julie Welsh, and those of you that have seen it on catch up. But talk about what a difference a couple of weeks can make. 2 weeks ago, I hosted Sunday night, and it was more like a wake. 2-0 up against Brighton, cruising, losing 3-2, and we were all down in the dumps. A good performance yesterday, and our rivals, our big London rivals, all getting beat, or one of us by us. And anyway, without further ado, apart from welcome to Spurs Diehards TTID, an introduction to our panel. Special guest, my good friend Jeremy Silverstone, aka Jem. Good evening, Jem.
Good evening. Good morning to you, whoever you are, wherever you are.
Indeed, sir. Indeed. And to one of our founders and someone who needs no introduction to the Spurs online community, Miss Ellie, our friend Højbjerg, Bentancur, whichever player she's in love with that night.
Yeah. At the moment, it's Bergvall, because the Irish Hotspur said to me I should be Bergvall because he's got a lot of potential.
Yeah,
I don't know what he means by that.
It could be Mikey Moore, it could be Bergvall, and anyway.
I might be changing, just put it that way.
And also to Adrian. Good evening, Adrian.
Hi to everyone. Hi to anyone in the chat. Thanks for viewing us. Thanks for viewing our shows, our regular shows at 8 o'clock on Tuesdays, Fridays, and Sundays. And
before we talk about the footy, I mean, why would we not want to talk about the footy? So that's Mr. Ellie. Good evening, Ellie. Yes. I hope your health is well. I gather you're a Queen's Park Rangers supporter. I have a couple of friends who are Rangers supporters, and it's pretty tough, and it's a lovely club. It was the last club I would want to see in trouble, but someone's got to sort that club out.
Yeah.
Good evening, Mark. Mark, if you want to come on, got a couple of late pullouts, so if you want to come on, please feel free, and you'll have the link to enter the studios. Good evening, Chris. Welcome along. Graham, hi. How are you doing, my friend? Hope you're well. Phil, couldn't be any better indeed, sir. Good evening, Nita. Welcome along. And I've seen these people, Chris, Lily White Lane. Good evening, Robbie. Lily White Lane.
Robbie.
And Peter, 606 in Melbourne. Beyond the call of duty to be up for this, but yeah, welcome along, Peter. Good to hear from you. And the Spurs analysis, that's a new one on me. So welcome along. Absolutely welcome along. So great to see you. We'll go back to the banners. Jem, let's start with you. The team yesterday, I mean, it's more or less picking itself. Son for Werner would have come as no surprise to anybody. But Bissouma for Bentancur, what was your take on that? Oh, excuse me, get the water.
Yeah, I'm not a massive fan of playing a holding midfield player who is less inclined to go forward. So I was pleased to see Bissouma there. I think he's still got things to prove. And actually, I think he went a long way to restoring his reputation yesterday. I thought he played really well. He broke up a lot of the West Ham attacks.
Yeah,
it was a really interesting game and an enjoyable one. Obviously, the result went our way. West Ham proved, to be a tough nut to crack in the first half. They're well organised. They've got really good players going forward, but we came through in the end. Lots of talking points. I think looking forward to talking about, obviously, for me, the main talking point will be the Sarr substitution for Maddison, who I actually thought had a good first half. Created lots of chances.
That one I'm going to come to later, Jem.
Yeah, I'm sure. Similarly, asking about Udogie, is he a defender? He's a young, strong boy. He's great going forwards, but is he a defender? Questions to be asked there.
Yeah.
Also thought Solanke had a good game, and I thought he deserved a goal. So
I need to stop you because otherwise you'll be taking over my whole show, mate. Sorry. Ellie, let's just talk about Bissouma and Bentancur because it's a toss-up.
It is.
You'd have said at 12:30 yesterday, Maddison and Kulusevski picked themselves in the middle, but Bissouma Bentancur is more of a toss-up. We'll obviously come back to that. But your thoughts on Biss coming in for Bentancur?
Yeah, I think he deserved it because he in his comeback match against Everton, he's been a bit of a naughty boy, so he got his punishment. But he brought him back against Everton and he scored a worldie in that game. And then he was subsequently left out, so he's probably getting mixed messages from Ange. But he's fought his way back into Ange's heart. He's probably working very, very hard in training to impress the manager, and you could see it in that game. He was excellent. He was everywhere, and I particularly liked his defensive work, tracking back. Because normally you don't get that from Biss. He drops off, but I think he's fighting for his place because he realises there's a lot of competition in that middle.
Sure.
So, yeah. And in regards to Sarr, that was an inspired substitution, I thought. And I saw your comment. You said Sarr should come on, and I said Benny should come on. So you won that one, Ian. So, I think I hold my hands up. You were right there, and so was Ange. Because Sarr came on with a mission as well, because he's got a lot to prove, because he's been out of form. So I think he did step up, and he made the fabulous ball to Sonny. Yeah, so I'm happy with that second half performance. Even the first half, we were very good. But it was quite even in the first half in terms of chances. But I think we played better than them, just slightly. But the second half, we just took over.
Yeah. Adrian, it's a real close toss-up between Biss and Bentancur for that midfield slot. That, I mean, we don't really play a 6, but that more withdrawn midfield player, if I can call it that.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, I'm always looking for clues, insights into Ange's mind, because he does sometimes pick a team that surprises you with two of his selections or whatever. But what was very interesting about yesterday's selection for me, one, I thought he would start Bentancur because he's banned from Uruguay and he'd be fresher. And Basuma was playing up front for his national side. So he comes back, and even though he's been away and played games, he still picks Basuma over Bentancur. That is very revealing. If you read in between the lines, it's very revealing. He obviously sees Basuma as the player to be that role, especially he's been on when he's played games. So I haven't got a problem with that. I still think we need someone to come and do that job, like an Edison or someone like that. The Son thing, I mean, you can talk about Werner later. It's a topic of many podcast discussions, isn't it?
Tell me. Well, we're gonna cover.
I like the Bentancur driving forward. From midfield, not hanging back. I agree with Jem. Then, I don't like him sitting back too deep. Although he has been constrained when he's played there, because obviously he is playing two orders there. You can't have everyone charging forward. I think where we have seen
he's a toss-up. I mean, I look at because he still plays that role for Celtic and Scotland, or at least he did for Callum McGregor at Celtic, and he doesn't give the ball away easily, and he does bring the ball forward, and he is there sometimes to have a good pop-up goal as well. And I mean, the key to that is not giving the ball away cheaply, because you're not going to have somebody behind you that's going to cover. But I'm going to talk about a few of these issues later. I want to say that we're getting joined by numbers in the chat, so I'm going to say a quick hello before we move it on, because I think half this is keeping what we're talking about interesting and relevant. So Lisa, good evening to you. Good to see you on with us. Chris, I've said hello. Mark, I know you're in the chat. If you want to come on, I know you're on next week, but feel free if you want to come on. Nige Pure Coys, good evening. Much love to you too, my friend. Where have we got Steve? If Carlsberg did weekends, I think we're all talking about that, aren't we? Brian, I think I may have flicked that early. Good evening to you, and or good afternoon to you in Toronto. Great performance, and helped by a lot of things going on around us as well. Liverpool and City, the teams to catch, but making progress. I think I've covered most of Unita. I've dealt with. That sounds awful. You know what I mean. But if there's anyone else there, I will get to you. But let's get back to the let's get back to the substance, because we're going to talk. Jem, you raised the fullbacks, and I thought 18 minutes, a poor goal to concede. I mean, there's a little kick out from one of the central defenders. I mean, in the first instance, I thought Porro was seriously at fault, not getting to that ball first. I thought he got the defender out of the I can't remember who it was, but out-muscled him. And from then on, of course, the ball went out to our left-hand side, and bang, Udogie was weak, very weak, 3 times. Porro again and Romero a ball watching, and bang, we're 1-0 down. So, Jem, that's my take. You mentioned the fullbacks. You mentioned Udogie. I'm still not totally convinced about either fullback, but certainly defensively, attack wise, no problem. Yeah,
I think Porro has improved his defensive capabilities enormously over the past few months, and I see a big future for him. I think he's a really important player at the moment. Udogie, I think, is a really interesting player, and I see some elements in him of Gareth Bale in the way he moves forward. I'm not suggesting that he's going to be a Gareth Bale, but he kind of has the same physical presence. He looks so comfortable on the ball when he's running with it. But the way that Bowen went past him for that goal was disturbing, and I think we are getting caught out quite a lot from those pullbacks from the line. We're not to cover those players. We'd been given a warning a few minutes before the goal went in. We didn't heed those warnings. We paid the price for it. The previous one, luckily, Kudos has hit it straight at Vicario pretty much. It was a good save, but he'd have been disappointed not to make it. But we really didn't learn that lesson. And they were running rings around us down our left-hand side for the first 25 minutes or so. And we seemed to sort that out in the end. But I can't help but feel that Udogie is somebody who is a much better player going forward. And it just doesn't seem to have the awareness, the defensive awareness to be a fullback.
I mean, that's an interesting point, Ellie. You've played and coached. We all love Udogie, but there's no doubt defensively he is frail. I mean, let me put another thing to you. Ange plays his way. It is his way. He made changes and he's adapting. We know that, and we'll talk about that. But I sometimes look at that team and think, if he played three in the middle, it would give so much more cover for the fullbacks, who could one would have the cover if they were caught out defensively, but would have much more freedom to contribute offensively, where they're both better. Yeah,
I agree with you. And I made that comparison with Gareth Bale earlier today on another podcast. Yeah, because he's got the same attributes as Gareth Bale. He's got the strength, he's got the speed, he's tenacious, he gets forward so well, but defensively, he was too tight on Bowen, first of all, and Bowen spun him, because Bowen is a very tricky player. There's no doubt about that. He's a very, very good player. But Udogie was too close to him and he spun him. He should have ushered him out the line, like Glenn Hoddle said, should have ushered him down the line, and then he would have blocked the cross probably, or got something on it. But he didn't. And he has been very suspect defensively. So I would rather him play like a Gareth Bale. We convert him like a Gareth Bale role and let him just bomb forward, because he creates so much havoc. Just see him running at the defences creates havoc. But the defensive work, I would like to see us in January get a proper experienced left back. Do you know, we wouldn't leak so many goals, because although we haven't leaked as many goals as we could have, we've leaked quite a lot, and we've lost matches because of it. And it's individual errors that have led to these goals. So, and Udogie's been part of that.
Adrian, let me put this to you then, because Ellie makes a fundamental point about we haven't actually leaked as many goals, certainly as we did last year. But the point I was going to make was the criticism last year was we kept losing the same goal, particularly losing the ball high up the field, both fullbacks inverted, not enough cover, and bang, we're caught in transition time and time again. Now, I can't think of any goal we've conceded this season that's like that. Someone in the chat may say, no, you're wrong. It was this goal. But, we're 8 games into the season, 8 games into the season, and I can't think of, we're certainly not leaking that goal, but we're losing goals from individual errors. Romero, Udogie, Porro, they all come down. Everyone is making errors at the back through whatever.
Whether it's a coincidence or not, if you notice, that goal came in the right-hand side, the left-hand side of the net, right? At Newcastle, the goal came in the left side of the net. Against Leicester, it came in the left-hand side of the net. We seem to be conceding on that side of the field. Now, I don't know if it's just coincidental or not. And the Udogie thing's interesting, because I'm sure we all remember when Kyle Walker came and we had to loan him out. We did the same with Rose. And when he came, he showed a lot of promise, but he didn't know, his decision-making wasn't good. He'd either be forward when we were caught at the back, or be back when he needed to get forward. But look at the player he is now. He's probably, even at his age, he's got to be the one, if not the best right back in the world, right? So I see so much. The frustrating thing is we all see so much potential in Udogie. He's a tank. If he wants to be and he masters his game, he could go on to be the best or one of the best left-sided backs on this planet. I believe he's got the potential to do that. But lately, again, positional play, isn't it, with him? The same like Jim said about Porro, right? Porro has improved a lot. So especially like when you looked at him at Leicester and Newcastle away in them games, he was a disaster, wasn't he? But it's like Why don't they stand goal side? You're taught that at school. You stand goal side. I know Porro's got pace and your doggy's got pace. Perhaps they think, well, I can stand a bit further forward because I can outrun this guy. Well, if you know you can, that's fair enough. Then don't get caught out. And again, like Bowen, it was Bowen that come in and put the ball, and actually the ball took a bit of a deflection, I think, before it got to Kudos anyway. Right? So that was a bit unlucky, but it should have been cut out before the cross went in, Yeah, so we're conceding silly errors on the flanks, not because we've been, we're all stuck on the halfway line and people outpacing us. We did that to them, didn't they? The Saar pass to Son, who run from just inside the halfway line, and he didn't look slow. So So back to you, Ian. Yeah.
No, I mean there was another one just quickly on this. There was a first half, about halfway through the first half, and Van de Ven went into a 50-50 tackle. I would say it's 60-40 tackle. Might have been with Bowen. Second half. It was second half. Sorry. And bang, he lost the ball on a 1-to-1. And there's talk that he's not on, in those 1-to-1 situations, as good a defender as we think he is. It's the fact that his pace gets him out of trouble. In a foot race, there's not going to be anyone that beats him.
Yeah. Fastest in the league.
Yeah, Ellie, you pick this up. It's fine.
Go on, Ellie. You go.
No, so it's just the fastest in the league. But I get your point about 1-to-1s. But listen, like defenders lose challenges, right? It's the way they recover that I'm looking for. If they've lost a challenge, then the second time you can get a bite at that player, right? You stay disciplined and you get goal side so that the player's not getting in. Yeah, so I can forgive him for that because his all-round game is pretty good, and I like Van de Ven because he saves us so many times with that rocket thing. He's turbo, isn't he? Boom, he does have to improve a little bit with his general defending. I agree with that.
I think, Jem, you picked this up. We have to remember these are all very young men, apart from Romero's in the mid-20s, I think. But the rest of them, Udogie, Porro, Van de Ven, they are still very, very young men with a lot of improving still to come from them.
Yeah, and there's lots of encouraging signs, and I don't think we should lose sight of the fact that even though it hasn't been a brilliant, glittering start to the season, we've still got a goal difference, which I think only City have improved upon. We've scored. I think we've scored more goals than anybody else apart from City. Maybe Liverpool have got a slightly better goal difference by one, but we're actually up there in terms of the number of goals we've scored, and also we're not doing badly in terms of the number of goals we've conceded. We haven't conceded a lot of goals.
No, I think there was a comment in the chat.
Questions. Sorry. The biggest question for me in that goal was why Kudos wasn't picked up at all by either the midfielder dropping back, maybe Bissouma, or Romero taking him, because there weren't that many people in the area. West Ham forward.
And that's what I said about the goals seem to me, rather than a structural or a systematic problem, and now at the moment down to individual players not doing the job that they should. That I think they're being coached to do, and they need to improve. Nigel's comment in the third, take Brighton, the Brighton half away, and we haven't been as bad as we think at the back. That's probably fair, isn't it, Adrian?
Sorry, Ian, I was just doing a bit of time.
That's okay. I'm just saying that comment by Nigel is probably fair comment. The one I've got on the screen there. Take the Brighton half away, and we haven't been as bad as we think at the back. That's probably a fair comment.
Yeah. We haven't really. We haven't really got the rewards our footballers, but you don't have over 60% of play in most of those games if you're playing bad football. The football's okay, but you get the argument, we can't finish our dinner when we haven't finished the chances. But our front three, but then to be fair, our front three was disrupted in a lot of them games. Against Leicester it was Son, wasn't it? Solanke and Johnson. Then it changed to Son played through the middle. Odegaard came on the left and Johnson was on the right. And the next game, Decky played through the middle. So Ange did adapt to circumstances, so Yeah, I mean, I put it down to not having the front three still hasn't really clicked for me yet. I mean, last year a front three and midfield were pants, and midfield's been a lot better. This is why we had a lot more possession in games now. At front three, we're sort of getting two that are doing it. You know, we haven't really clicked since that 5-2 win away at Burnley when Solomon was playing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we battered West Ham yesterday, but I'll tell you what, when we click for 90 minutes, we're going to really hammer something.
Someone's
going to get it, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to put that on the screen, Steve. Brilliant. No one wanted to mark kudos in case they got a slap. Jem and Adrian, I assume you two were at the game.
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah. Elliot,
I couldn't go because my husband.
I watching the first half when they were 1-up and they had the bank of 4, bank of 5, very narrow, not much gap between them, deep line, low block. I think that manager has had a fair bit of criticism. He's spent that international break really working them. But it didn't last, and that's. I want to talk about our equaliser and what have you. But Jem, were you not surprised at how they folded so badly in the second half?
I was very surprised, and I do think we got a bit of luck with the own goal because it wasn't a great shot from Sonny, and I think that really turned the game as much as anything else. It was a real sucker punch. But we had created quite a lot of chances in the first half, and we could easily have been 3-1 up at the break. So I wasn't surprised that we carried on creating chances. I was more surprised that they didn't create more chances in the second half. I'd say also another point I'd like to make is in that first half we had a lot of dominance around the box. We had a lot of possession. We were putting balls in. I felt that Solanke was still a bit isolated in there. Too often he's up against two defenders, wasn't really getting a sniff, wasn't getting ahead of his defenders when a ball was coming in. And I'd like to see him improving his game in that area.
Okay. Jim, just one thing. Sorry to interrupt. I agree. They were under some. I think the relentless pressure we put them on was making them crack. I mean, I stopped counting corners in the first half at 8. Right.
Yeah, about 13.
Had more in the second half, and I haven't got the stats for that. Yeah.
Adrian, the question I was going to ask you, and Ellie went off, and she's back on, but I'll ask you. The one thing I noticed quite early on yesterday was the ball seemed to be coming in much earlier from the flanks yesterday than it was in previous games. Is that something that you picked up on, or have I just missed that?
I think they've been practicing a lot, like when they do this roundo, close, like passing in tight situations. I noticed that we're trying to be a bit quicker to get the ball in the middle where the whole pitch opens up if you get it to Basuma or someone Madison in the middle. I noticed that. I'm sure you'll talk about Johnson later, but I was impressed with his all-round game yesterday. I think it's the best I've seen him play without scoring a goal, right? So, yeah. And again on the flanks, I mean, it was just good. I'm not sure I noticed it as much as you did, Ian, to be honest.
No,
I noticed it more in the midfield. I actually thought that I would like to see. It's easy me sitting up high in the East Stand and thinking, Romero, please move the ball a bit more quickly.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're not down. We don't see what he sees at vision at his level. All the Spurs fans pass it to him over there. When he's like 30 yards on the wing with another player 3 foot away from him or something like that. You know what I mean? It can't be done, can it? So I think we can be a bit too critical in the stands, like when it comes to that. But no, it's just the pressure was building. Even at this is Angepool though, isn't it? At 1-0 down, you're not terrified or nothing like that because you think, well, we know we're more than capable of going bang, 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 and that's exactly what we did. You know what I mean? So like.
Ellie, Adrian mentions about Johnson. I was a fan. I'll say I'll stay loyal. Jem will know as much as anybody that I was Anjin, all along. He was my only choice. I was over the moon when we signed Johnson. because I think he's a really good player. So I'm not going to change that view. But there was one thing, and I know he didn't score yesterday, but there was one thing. You brought Chang on. Hi, Chang. I'll bring you on in a sec. There was about 15 minutes. Ball came over onto that sort of inside right position, and he opened his body up and flashed across the goal. I mean, I don't know how much it missed by, maybe 2 or 3 yards. But what got me about that was the player that had the confidence to take something like that on. Whereas I think last year, he'd have taken a touch, he'd have tried to get to the byline and put it across. Whereas he sees it, opens his body up, beautiful technique, and is really unlucky not to find the far corner.
Yeah, I agree, right? Because I think he was particularly good with Kulu as well and linking up with Porro. And his movement was fabulous coming into the box, and he was finding pockets of space that he wasn't confident in finding early doors. So I'm really impressed with him so far. And I hope he does even grow even more. And I think his dad has probably been helping him as well, because his dad was a great striker. So I think he's been giving him a lot of pep talks to get his confidence up. And that shot, that was sublime. That was so unlucky not to be a goal. And then he had that other chance, which he flashed with his head. He didn't quite catch it right. Didn't get his body shape right, that one. And it flashed past the post. But at least he's getting in those positions to score that we never saw early doors. So I've been really impressed with him this season. And he's getting on the scorecard very regularly. Very unlucky not to score yesterday.
Absolutely. Chang, good evening to you from Malaysia. A question for you, and I'll say this as the youngest member of the panel, is when I was a kid, I'm talking about the late, mid to late 1960s, going to games, and like it was, you'd say, oh, we've signed this player, and it was always, but they'll take a year to settle in, son. Whereas now we seem to live in a society where we demand instant success. Wherever it is, I mean, you join a workplace, you give them time to settle in. Whereas now, if a player doesn't succeed in 3 or 4 games, he's written off as rubbish.
Yeah, I think this is the sign of the times that we live in, because I think this isn't something that applies only to sports. Pretty much any business, for that matter, whether it's it could be a construction, accountancy, even a law firm, where you're expected to hit the ground running and be able to produce results, be able to produce the goods wherever it is that you may be working at. And I think for sports, this is nothing. This is no different, if you ask me. And yes, I do get that if you are being paid a certain amount of money, you should be able to, produce X amount of results for whoever it is that you're working for. And because maybe the expectancy, even also, you could say that the impatience maybe of some employers, or in our case, the fan base in the club that we support, we demand this instantaneous results from certain players who are paid X amount of wages per week. And I get that, certain players, they need more time to bed in. I mean, if you take a look at Bale, when we first signed him, how many games did he go on a losing streak before he finally won something? And he didn't even win, big trophies with Spurs, but I'm talking about just winning games with us. I think this is rather unfair, but I mean, players have to live with it. I mean, if this is expected of them, then if they aren't able to produce, then they have to either step up, or in some cases, they have to step out of the club. But in all fairness to any newcomer, any new signing, or any new player or new staff, for those who are more patient, for those who have, the more reserved of us, who are willing to give players time to bed in, to actually acclimatize, and get to grips with their new clubs.
Sure.
I fully welcome them. Even the likes of a Timo Werner, for that matter, if you ask me.
Well,
Yes, I know that he has been producing for RB Leipzig in the Bundesliga, and he was able to produce something more tangible with Chelsea the last time he was playing for a London club. But yeah, I get why fans were very easy to get ruffled and lose patience very, very quickly and very easily with players who are expected to, at the very least, assist or even score goals every now and then. So I do get why fans are easily upset, and we get impatient easily. But
I'll stop you there, Chang. Talking about players that have improved, Adrian. Decky, I know he's moved role, but he's been an absolute revelation in central midfield, which is the role he plays for Sweden and the role he played for Juventus before he came to us.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I've always been a big fan. I didn't know nothing about Bentancur when they both came in January, but I'd watched someone had give me a pointer on Decky, and I'd seen him before he even came to this club. And I was impressed what I see as a young kid, 20-year-old and that. And don't forget, he's barely 24. He's another player who's developing.
Yeah.
And we've seen what he can do last year when he helped us grab the 3 points away to Luton after Basuma got dumped in simulation, got sent off, and VDV scored, right? We've seen what he's done. I mean, he came in, didn't he? First 2 games, he had 2 15 or 20-minute cameos. The fans were on his case, like you're just saying, and our Chang's just like articulated on. I've seen him. But then in a 3rd game, he gets his full debut. Son squares it to him, and he scores against Man City away. Now, he's scoring against a big team, and he will turn up against big teams, and he's done it before. But that first season, he came in January, so he's got 8 goals and assists in 6 months. Yeah. And everything we all expected, we all hoped he would replicate that form. He'd emulate what he did in those 6 months in the fight, and it didn't happen. And he admitted he wasn't at his best last season. But I've always seen a footballer in there. I think he's got absolutely everything. Absolutely everything. I mean, his skill set, you can't get him off the ball. He's strong on the ball. He'll try these little fancy tricks. When they come off, they look brilliant. Like when he hits in the preseason friendly, when he hit the outside of the boot, right boot to unfortunately Werner, who got mentioned again, and Werner missed a glorious chance. How many more assists would he have if people finish dinner? I mean, he is a fantastic player, and at the moment, he's our best player.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, man of the match. I mean, I'll talk about the man of the match after. But Ellie, if you don't buy a ticket, you don't win the raffle. And speculative shot hits both posts and goes in. Sonny a bit unlucky with something similar in the second half. That's the bottom line, isn't it? Pot shot, bang, 1-1.
I love those goals that go off the post and just trickle along the line and go in, and I love the goal that Sonny scored as well, because although it wasn't the best of shots that he put in, it was enough to get it over the line, and the goalie couldn't save it. So all the goals that we created were well worked, and the team were working so hard as a team. That's what I liked. We worked as a team. That's what I was most impressed with. And Basuma was the pinnacle of that team, because I've never seen Basuma play so well in terms of the ground that he covered. And then when his mate Sarr came on, it was like extra legs. So he could take his foot off the gas a little bit, but he didn't. He still persevered and still was doing the running, which I was very impressed. Obviously, Kulu, with his little flicks and little tricks and his spins, he was leaving West Ham for dead. I loved him. He was my man of the match, Kulu, by far. Just behind him was Sonny, because Sonny put in a shift, and he hasn't played for quite a number of weeks. So I was very impressed.
Those of you in the chat, please like and subscribe to the channel. It helps us enormously. So please, if you haven't, like and subscribe.
Yes.
Jem, I mean, everyone in the chat, I suspect, wants to hear about this. Again, one of the criticisms of Ange has been he doesn't have plan B, he doesn't adapt, he sees things but he stands watching them. That was a little bit of a surprise, albeit Maddison was pretty ordinary in the first half.
My perception was that Maddison was our playmaker in the first half, that he did well. He was creating chances. He was getting the ball in. He was causing them trouble, and he was getting round Rodriguez, who I thought had a really good game as the holding midfield player for West Ham. And I think, had maybe the shot from Johnson gone in, there were a couple of other good chances that we had in the first half that didn't quite go in. I wonder whether he'd have taken Maddison off at that stage. And I wonder whether if Maddison had stayed on in the second half, and I appreciate all the good stuff that Sarr did, whether Maddison could also have made that difference in the second half when the game opened up a bit. I've always been a Maddison fan. I think he's a very talented, creative player. I think the sense of people around me at the ground was that it must have been an injury, but it very soon became apparent that Ange was saying it was a tactical change. And it worked, and I'm delighted that it worked, but I'm kind of intrigued at what's going on behind the scenes there. What does Ange see in Maddison? Does he see a future for him? I'm not saying this is the end for Maddison, but it must raise some questions about him.
Yeah, Chang, you had a big nod. I mean, your own thoughts, because there is no doubt that change. I think the fact that he made a change is one talking point, and the second point is the change was so effective.
Yes, because it's easy to see why some of us would, question Maddison's future after his. I wouldn't say it's his ineffectiveness, more that how the game changed the moment Sarr was brought on. And I would say that yes, Maddison definitely does still have a future with us, regardless of what people may have thought of that first half of his and the impact Sarr had on our team and also performance when he came on for Maddison. For me, more importantly, especially for players like James Maddison or even Johnson for that matter, if James Maddison is to be seen as a future Spurs captain, assuming that he's one of those candidates to take over from Son if and when Son hangs up the captaincy for a great club. If he is to be considered a captain, he has to be a lot more consistent and vocal, both on and off the pitch for us. And for Maddison, I think I was very, very happy that he signed for us a whole season ago. And although I know that towards the latter stages, especially after his injury, after his comeback, he was dropped for good reason, and that he's seen himself out of the reckoning of the English setup. But now that Thomas Tuchel is back at the helm of England, and Big Ange himself has made it no secret that if you're not performing, you're not part of the squad, regardless whether you're a starter or a bench warmer. And for people like James Maddison, I think this will act as a good reminder to even the likes of Son himself and also Christian Romero. But bottom line is that I think that James Maddison, yes, I think he still has a future with us, and I would love nothing more than to see players like James Maddison and Christian Romero be getting competition for their places. If, let's say, James Maddison himself isn't stepping up, then Lucas Bergvall will know that, yes, this is my time, this is my chance. I am going to be working extra hard to give James Maddison a run for the money. The same can be said for players like Christian Romero. If Dragushin is working hard enough, then yes, this is actually exactly what I want from my club, where there is competition and healthy competition at that too for sports come match day.
Adrian, you were at the game, so your thoughts?
Well, Maddison, I like the player a lot. I find that with creative midfielders, though, you never get, if you had one that was like mate he was at Man City, De Bruyne, who could show who wasn't injury prone, who could be more consistent throughout a season, you'd be screaming at the world class. The thing is with these creative midfielders, the few that there are about, they're never. We know they're never going to be consistent throughout the season, are they? They're always going to have a drop-off period. They always do. But I like his vision. He's very quick at finding a pass and sliding. But we would miss him if he wasn't with us. And it's like it's down to Ange. He's got a big squad now. How to utilise him and get the best out of him. So, no, I like him as a player. I like him. He's probing all the time, trying to create an opening and all that. I just think that sometimes if we were moving the ball quicker, you know, I mean, like back in the Poch days when we held that more slick, interchangeable passing that was quick, teams don't get a chance to get set against that sort of football, and you can force errors, you know, rather than whereas times when we struggle, we look like we're waiting for our opponents to make a mistake rather than make something happen ourselves. And Maddison is a game changer. He is a game changer. But like Chang says, you know, you want it to be consistent and injury-free.
Yeah. Ellie, does Maddison move the ball with the speed that Ange ball requires?
Do you know what? I like players who take their time. Len Hoddle was one. He took his time, very cultured player. I like players who can put the ball on, get the ball onto their feet and think with their brain very intelligently. And he has got that. The consistency has to be there, though, as well. I thought that he looked a bit sluggish with the corners. Definitely wasn't putting in really good corners. But his general play was pretty good. You know, but I do like a player who's a bit more cultured. And that maybe he doesn't fit Ange's remit to move the ball quickly. But I think he finds, do you know what I think with Maddison? A lot of the time, Udogie comes into his space and he links up so with Sonny. And he feels lost in a way because he's bypassed because the outball is Sonny, not to him. And I think sometimes he's fighting a losing battle there because it tends to go to Sonny all the time. And I think he gets very frustrated. And when he's not on the ball, he doesn't like it. And you can see his head will drop. That's where he's got to be more mature, you know, and demand the ball as well. Really communicate better, demand the ball, find pockets of space where Sonny's not going to be the only out ball and self more available. That's all I would say. But I do like him as a player. He's a very cultured player. And I do like a player like that.
I mean, I watched all of the pre-season games, including being at the Hearts game. And I started to wonder, Jem, if the natural midfield pairing would end up being Bergvall and Kulusevski. Do you see that being the long-term central midfield partnership, or do you think Bergvall's still got it all to prove?
I'm not sure in my own mind where Bergvall's best role is going to be, and I suspect it may develop as he develops as a person and as a player. But there's no doubt that he's a great talent. I think Kulusevski, I've been really impressed with this season. He's a unique player. I like seeing him in that role just behind the striker. I think he adds a lot to the team. He has some really unique kind of style, and he does things that other players just don't do. So I'm very happy to have him there, but I'm not sure he would form the core of the midfield. I think you still need a leader in that midfield that we're lacking, and doubtless we'll come on to that later as well.
Yeah.
Spoken about that before. I don't think either of them is vocal enough, or it drives play forward in the way that we need.
Let's go back. I mean, 3 goals in 7 minutes. I think it might have been 8 actually, but no one's going to quibble it. Adrian, that was really some massive turnaround in a very, very short space of time. Was it we were brilliant? Was it Sarr? Or was it the fact that West Ham just seemed to lose, as I said earlier, that organisation that they had as soon as they lost a second goal.
Well, Udogie redeemed himself with that cutback to Basuma, didn't he?
Yeah.
We're sort of forgive him now. We must still, when we win games and we concede goals, we shouldn't paper over the cracks, though. We should still critique them, because Ange will know this, the coaching side will know this. They know they've still got a lot to work on with this. It's a very young side.
Yeah.
But that cutback and sweet finish by Basuma, he seems to have found a bit of a goal scoring knack, isn't he? Like, for his country and club, and even in the pre-season when he got the one against, Ellie QPR, right? So, listening, right? So, that first goal, that was a well-worked goal. It's a sweet goal. It's what Ange Ball was about, The first goal from Kula was about his effort. Although Maddison got the assist, Kula had to do a lot of work to get that goal, really, So, but then we move on to the own goal. Well, that was persistent by Son. I remember Matey, famous manager, Ancelotti saying, because like when we got the own goal and Matip put it in the net last season against Liverpool when 1-2-1, he turned around and said, well, you can say, some people say the player's unlucky, right? But he said, I don't agree with that. He went, if you keep applying the pressure and you force an error and a player makes an own goal, you've earned that. You've earned that. And Son will always try something. Even when it don't come off, he will always try something because he's a quality player. And that own goal was effort. You could virtually say it's a Son assist, really. But by the way, I did put a little thing up for you on that, and if you want to come to it about Sonny and his goals and I'll put a banner up.
That one.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
I didn't think I'd put that up, but I think
I put two banners up for you too up top of the show.
I'll come back to that if that's okay. I did see that, and it's very much part of the agenda. So thank you.
What a substitution. Sarr puts that ball through to Son, who's only a few yards inside the half.
Yeah.
He runs. West Ham are panicking already, right, when he runs. And then the way he turned the defender inside out. And like, that is Sonny at his best when he hasn't got to think. When he has to think too much, I think, like, when he's instinctive, he's very, very, he's more dangerous. He's still dangerous anyway. And he's still our best finish with both feet. But to take that goal on the inside anyway, I thought he was going to shoot across goal. I really did. And and I'm right opposite him because I'm directly above, looking down on him basically in a straight line. And I thought it was game over at 3-1 because West Ham they were looking a bit shot, and they just couldn't cope. They couldn't cope with Kulusevski. That's what it was.
No,
I mean, sweet finish, and like, I'm so pleased because he had a good game, Son. He had a good game.
Well, Ellie, I'll say this. I was a bit disappointed with Son first half. I think he lost the ball too easily. A couple of lapses in concentration. But second half, I thought, that's the Sonny I know and love.
Yeah, he stepped up. He's our captain. A lot of people have been doubting him, saying he's losing a bit of pace, he's losing this, that, and the other. But he's still producing 3 goals, 3 assists, still brilliant. Most instinctive striker in the league, I reckon, with both feet. It's a shame that we don't play that shooting from outside the box, because he can score worldies from outside the box. But we're seeing him running onto balls. The one he scored against Everton was opportunist, wasn't it? When he ran in and nicked the ball off Pickford and scored that goal, that was fantastic as well. But, he's got a lot of weight on his shoulders as the captain. He's got a lot of responsibility, and he really does love our club. You can tell that. Like, he puts all his heart and soul into every match that he plays.
Yeah.
He doesn't always come off for him, right? But he is getting older. He even said it yesterday in the interview that he's 32 now. He's got to pace himself. All right. So he realizes his own body, right, is getting a little bit slower. But what he lacks in that, he's got a good, very good, intelligent brain when it comes in front of goal. If that had been Werner, I would have been screwing, thinking, oh no, he's going to miss it. Right.
I'll talk about Werner.
Just to add to that, Ellie, I mean, like, you had Messi, Ronaldo, Oliver Giroud. They all played 35, 36, 37 years of age.
I think Sonny's got it in him. Sonny's got it in him. I don't think he's going to hang his boots up next season either. I think we're going to see a lot of him still. Yeah. I'll be glad to see him.
Jem, I mean, I don't know if you managed to catch. You might not have been that easy to see. You'd have had a decent angle on it from your seat, but the speed of Sonny's feet and legs for that fourth goal was absolutely vintage Sonny.
It was, and I have to say, last time I was on the show, we were quite critical of Sonny and felt that he wasn't anywhere near his best. But I think we saw flashes of it yesterday. In the first half, he had a really good shot, which just drifted past the right hand, the right hand post as he saw it. But he made space beautifully for that shot. For the own goal, I thought it was a weak shot, and actually, had it been our defender and our goalkeeper, I think we would have criticised them. But actually, the fact that he had the confidence to take on a man, albeit that at that stage in the game, at 3-1 down, West Ham were committing a lot of men forward, and so he was in a one-on-one, not against the greatest of defenders, but he made the most of it. And his feet were so quick, he absolutely bamboozled the defender. And it was really good to see him having that confidence. So I take a lot of positives for that.
Yeah. Jem, he looked fresh, didn't he? He looked fresh, like the rest has done him good. This is what I noticed of all. He's got a lot of energy. That's what I think I'm looking at him like,
Yeah, I mean, did you see the game on the television, Chang? I mean, wouldn't have been a bad time for you, sort of mid-evening on a Saturday, mid to late.
It was the first.
Sorry. I'll just ask you, because I don't know what pictures you'd have picked up. I mean, I watched it on TNT Sport, and after the game, Sonny came out to do an interview with the lady presenter and Glenn Hoddle and Crouchy and what have you. I don't know if you saw that, but the South Korean fans, they're all waiting there for him. Did you see that?
I watched
it. Immensely popular.
I watched it, I think, no less than 5 times this morning, over and over again, because there was one particular line in that interview that he had with Glenn Hoddle and Crouchy, with the female presenter post-match, whereby he said that he's already 32 and that he's going to play every single game like it's his last competitive match in professional football. That just warms my heart. That is just pure professionalism right there. And as for the match itself, I mean, yesterday was the first and I think the only time I've actually watched a match live on the telly with both my daughters with me in attendance. And it was so just poetic, and it really was fitting that Son scored our fourth just as it struck 9 for them at the hour mark during their bedtime. So they went to bed with a smile on their faces. It was an evening that I will never ever forget, being able to watch a league game for the very first time with both my daughters, with me. And that speaking about that post-match interview, I mean, just everything that he says is just so heartwarming to know that he still wants to give his all for the club. He's been here for coming to 10 years now, much like Ben Davies. And I think it would be such a travesty, if you ask me, for him if he were to leave without winning a proper competitive silverware after the many years of service is given to us. And regardless of what the future may hold or bring for him, I think he still has a very pivotal part to play in our our season to come, and also maybe hopefully the season beyond this. But I do get it why people are easy to criticize when players like him, who has been producing for us for however many seasons he's been playing with us. And I really do expect a lot more from him actually after this weekend. I would think that this coming midweek, the Europa League game against Alkmaar, yes, AZ Alkmaar, I think this is going to be one of those matches that will show us all, not just the coaching staff, but us fans as well, whether he's going to be, be able to play both midweek and the weekend league fixtures on a regular basis for the rest of the season. But yeah, what a guy to have with us, Son, and long may his goal scoring streak continue.
Funny enough, well, first of all, welcome to the call, man. Always lovely to see you on with us, Ben. And yeah, you're right. Absolutely need to keep that consistency together. Adrian, I'm going to talk about the subs and the team for Jem actually raised it in the private chat, but the team for Alkmaar and the team for Palace. But talking specifically about Sonny, he's a player at 32. He's definitely the senior member of the squad. He's a club captain, team captain, for whose game time is going to need to be managed as we go through the season.
Yeah, I wouldn't start him against Alkmaar. Not because we see Richie come on as well. We've got cover now. I think Odebert will be back for Palace probably. So now this is going to be the subs bench going to be interesting over a few games, because then you'll get an insight into Andy's mind who his preferred ones are. Because now you might say, well, you've got to fit those extra players on the subs bench. Will Davis get a game? Against Alkmaar. And give your doggy a rest or something like that.
Yeah.
And even Decky. I mean, how long can that workhorse keep producing them performances one after another without burnout? This is where I do see, because Bentancur to me is a number 8. This is where I do see Bentancur perhaps coming in and giving Decky a rest. Because Bentancur's a number 8 to me every day.
Yeah.
Every day of the week is a number 8, right?
Yeah.
So, but against them, there's going to be changes Thursday, right? There'll be changes. I mean, like, will Gray get a start? Will Porro be rested? Will Gray come in? We all want to see him in midfield.
I'll come back. I'll come back
Okay.
to it, Adrian,
Oh,
because
okay.
it's a really interesting comment. But I'm really talking. Let's talk about that. Those stats that you brought up, Ellie. You can talk about that. We think we're talking about Sonny's. Oh, is Sonny past his best? But 520 minutes of football. That's what is that? under 6 matches, isn't it? Under 6 matches of football, 3 goals and 3 assists. I mean, what else can you expect? That's as good as it gets, and that.
Yeah, because Sonny always produces. He's the criticism of him. He doesn't produce enough over a season in terms of how many he scores throughout the season. Maybe he's not as consistent throughout the season, but what he does do is his record is remarkable, right? And his pre-assists, if you count his pre-assists on top of that, where he's contributed to a move that's led to a goal, you can't go without Sonny, because there's no one else in our team that is as clinical in front of goal and generally works hard. No, I don't see anyone working harder than Sonny. Maybe he doesn't always, he's not everybody's cup of tea, because he can lose the ball occasionally, and sometimes he's off it. But in the majority of matches what I've watched Sonny over many, many years, I've always been his biggest fan, because it's just remarkable what he does for our club in terms of everything,
Sure.
And off the pitch. He's a fantastic ambassador for our club as well.
I could not agree with that more, really. If just guys in the chat, thanks. Great to have you with us. Please, if you can hit the like and subscribe button, that would be absolutely fantastic.
Yes.
I want to talk about this man, because Jem, I'll bring you in at £65 million. No one's actually saying we got a bargain. I was at the the Azerbaijan team.
Karabakh.
Sorry?
Karabakh.
Thank you. God, this old age, mate, catches up on you. At Karabakh, and obviously we lost drag us in very, very early. But that man's work rate. Did you go to that game? Yeah, I know you did, Adrian, because I saw you there. But you were there as well.
Yeah.
That man's work rate, with and without the ball, I thought was an absolute revelation. And yesterday, I thought he is doing such a shift for the team. Doesn't matter he didn't score. The shift he put in for the team was out of this world.
Yeah, I was disappointed that he didn't manage to get a goal because he thoroughly deserved one yesterday. In particular, his hold-up play was exceptional. And he gave them a target. He gave them a real focus going forward. So I would love to have seen him get a goal, if only to give him a bit of confidence. I would like to see, as I said before, I'd like to see him just getting in front of his defenders a bit more when the ball's coming in from the flanks. But, he's shaping up nicely. We talked before about how quickly we should expect players to settle in. And I think one of the reasons that they probably bought Solanke is that he's a tried and trusted Premiership goal scorer. And they felt that he would probably hit the ground running. I don't think he's hit the ground running in quite the way they had hoped. But I still feel positive about him. Yeah.
I mean, I think that's probably fair comment, Adrian. Let's bring you in here. But you were very much one about the number of goals you needed to score to do well in the Championship. Forget about the number of goals that Solanke's actually scored. The team scored 18 goals, conceded 9, 3 of them at Brighton, but scored 18 goals in 8 matches. To some extent, it doesn't matter as long as the goals are coming.
Yeah. Solanke looks perfect for Ange Ball's system. He looks absolute perfect. He's the final. He's like a piece of the jigsaw in the front three. He just looks and he makes things happen. And it's not just the goals. If you're pressing down, when you watch him play, and you see it from other players as well, he tends to drift left. And what he'll do when he presses, he'll make sure he limits the opposition. So he'll run between the goalkeeper and the opposing, and the angle between the opposing, their left back, say. So now, when he's doing that and you're doing the press, your other players know, well, the only way they're going to get this out is to kick it long or pass it right past like the other centre back, right? So we know, you sort of know where they're going to do. And if you're pressing hard, the idea is to set traps, is to put them under that much pressure that they can't beat the press and they kick the ball long, so you can win it back and recycle it. His work rate, I don't think there's a harder working forward in the Premier League. He's just perfect for the system, and he will score goals. He got 19 with Brentford last year. Bournemouth. Yeah. I mean, he's going to beat that this year under Ange Ball.
I seriously can't believe how good he is, and his hold up, the stuff that I didn't know he was good at. Ellie, let's bring you in. Stuff that I didn't realise how good he was, apart from how hard he's prepared to work, is his ability to hold the ball and bring other people into matches.
Yeah,
and
into games.
Just to add that he bullies defenders as well. Go on, Ellie. Sorry.
Yeah, no. He's an old-fashioned sort of centre forward, isn't he? He's a big guy, holds the ball up well. He's a bit of a nuisance, gets in people's grill. Fantastic at pressing. Fantastic. I've never seen a striker work as hard as him at pressing. He's really good at it as well. And he controls the other part of the press as well. So he gets everybody organised with his communication. I've really noticed that. Right, and I've been watching him very, very closely because I want to see what we're getting for our 65 million as well. But he scored 4 goals. He's contributed a lot more towards our play in general, and I'm happy with him so far. Obviously, want him to score more goals, but that'll come because the work rate is there, and he'll get into the positions. I think we've got to look for him more as well as a number 9. In general, players have got to look for him more rather than Sonny, maybe. Although Sonny can score as well, but I think we've paid a lot of money for him. Let him have a few more chalks up on the scoreboard in terms of goals, and I think it will come because he's a very tenacious player.
Let's bring you in, Chang. Haven't heard from you for a minute or two. One of the things that I picked up, I saw a YouTube report. It might have been from 442 or whatever. And people think that Solanke's because he's big and whatever, he's going to be a prolific scorer with his head. And in fact, the heat map showed that he doesn't score that many with his head at all. He scores with his feet, and he scores from sort of around the penalty area, in maybe a little bit wide, those inside left, inside right, centre forward positions, and then with his left foot and his right foot. And they're the sort of balls that we should be providing for him.
Yeah, I mean, these sort of strikers, the fox in the box, or even the great poachers, however you want to typify his goal scoring prowess. For me, it's good to have a jack of all trades when you are, trying to replace one of our own in Harry Kane. And for me, I think Solanke ticks and he checks all those boxes required of a striker of his caliber. Whether you are scoring with your left, your right, with your head, if you are scoring from set pieces, if you are scoring from open play, if you are able to put away the chances when you're bearing down on goal one-on-one. For me, Solanke is that perfect number 9 that we've been baying out for a good whole season since we sold Harry Kane. And I think many of us thought that Richarlison was the one to step up after we sold Harry Kane, but sadly that wasn't to be last season. And this season, if there's one downside to signing Solanke, it's that he didn't get that much of a preseason, because if he was already readily available for his release clause the moment the transfer window opened, then I see no reason why we shouldn't have signed him the moment the transfer window opened, because he wasn't even part of the England squad to make the European, the European team. So what a signing, Solanke. Lots to be expected from him, but just as I mentioned very much earlier when I just joined the show, players or staff or even managers who have just only joined the club, I think they should be given some leeway. They should be given some time to bed in and get into their stride. And for Solanke, I'm so glad that he was able to hit the ground running. I know that currently his goals for us have been, some people say they are somewhat easy to score, or rather they were fortuitous, but I don't see that at all. I mean, Mr. Stroker mentioned that he needs that work rate, especially against Karabakh, whereby if it wasn't for his tenacity, he wouldn't have been able to score our third goal of that match. And I wouldn't be surprised really if he does get another start this midweek against Alkmaar. Although now that Richarlison's back, I would actually much prefer Richarlison to be getting the nod ahead of Solanke come midweek. But Solanke, more of the same from him too, much like Sonny. And I think we have yet to see the best of Solanke in a Spurs jersey.
One more fact to give you guys. I mean, we know VDV's our fastest player, but out of our 4 forwards that are quick, I mean, Johnson, Odegaard, even Werner, Solanke's, don't underestimate his pace. Full fastest, 36 kilometres an hour he's been clocked at. He is fast, right? He is fast. You see examples of his speed yesterday when a couple of them breakaways didn't quite work for him. You would have seen it in the game, and he's got a turn of speed on him, as well.
I mean, I'm not gonna go with. Sorry, I was actually putting in a private chat to Jem, but I'll come back to it. Jem, that comment you made, do you want to just put that into the general chat? Can you get on through YouTube and put that onto the general chat, because that's the point. But I need to say a special evening to Kate, the perfect match. Kate, the artist formerly known as Prince and the streamer formerly known as the girl who loves Spurs. Good evening. Don't know if Jim's with you, but love to get you and Jimbo on a show one night. So I know sometimes your Sundays are occupied, but let's move it on anyway. But Werner for Son, 70 minutes. Son tiring, but was it the right sub? I mean, and in that, Jem, I'm going to bring you in. Should we have brought in Mike? I know you can't do, but actually, Adrian, because Jem's doing that. He can't multitask. Adrian, let me bring you in.
I don't think Son was tiring. I think he was full of energy. I just think this was just tactical in 70 minutes. I just think Ange's managing Son well. He's just come back from an injury. Don't want to like any chance of a repercussion, you know. So I don't think it was fatigue. I think Ange actually got his game management right and his subs right for this game, didn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I mean,
was it the right sub, Adrian? I mean, I'm thinking, with the game at 4-1 and West Ham, you know, genuinely looking battered, would that have been the perfect game to bring Mikey Moore on? What about giving Richarlison a bit more time on that left side?
I just think with West Ham losing the game, legs tiring. If Werner's one thing, you don't want to see Werner coming on the pitch if he's poor. You'd be frightened that this is going to be the game Werner's going to score against us. You know what I mean? It didn't happen. But I mean, the only reason I'm not a fan of Werner is not because I don't think he's a good footballer. You don't play for them clubs and play for national if you're a poor player. But I've said it on so many podcasts. I don't want to forward in my side that don't score goals. He doesn't score goals. That's my main argument. When we had when we had Dele, Eriksson, Son and Kane, and we nearly won the league, they all scored goals. Kane and Son would get 40-odd plus goals between them with cup games. Dele chipped in with about 16 or 18 in that 16-17 season, I think it was. And then you had Eriksson chipping in. Well, we ain't got that amount of goals in our team at the moment. Unless we prove wrong this season with the system clicking, you know. So that's my main reason gripe with him is like he doesn't score goals. But bringing on, we are with him. We're going to have him for the rest of the season. He will come on, and I think when everyone's fit, he's going to be used as an impact sub just to stretch teams. I mean, he's a handful to play against. When you're starting the game against him, you bring him on when he's fresh and you're tired. He's going to cause you problems. He will cause teams problems, whether he scores a goal this season or not.
Ellie, you like me were watching. I'll come on to that. You like me were watching on television where on that far side, Werner let the ball run under his feet, and then the camera flashed to Alan Sugar, who was laughing. That's not a good look, is it?
That really did make me laugh.
Yeah.
It really did. But, you know, Werner's one of those players. He's a bit like Marmite. Most people don't like Marmite in my book. Right, so he's he doesn't help himself either because he gets his body shape wrong and he doesn't make the right moves in terms of trying to get into the position to score a goal. So, you know, he's one of those players that you love to hate, you know, and he's never going to be loved by the fans, is he? He's not. He's onto a loser because he's missed so many chances, unbelievable chances as well, where he's been on one-on-one on the goalie as well.
Wow.
And he's been a bit unlucky in some respects. But
Werner
I
would
just
be
think
loved if
I
he
was
scored
talking
goals,
with Ash
Ellie.
earlier on another pod. Yeah, I was speaking with the lovely, beautiful Ash, and she said she made a really good point. She said that he could be a bit goal shy.
Yeah, Jem, I mean, are we getting to the point with Werner that we just have to say, nah, your fourth choice behind Son, Moore, Odegaard, even Richarlison on that left-hand side? Because I like Werner. I think he contributes massively. I think he's intelligent. I think he runs in behind the fullbacks and what have you. But then
he may achieve all of those things. Sadly, he can't either shoot or cross a ball terribly well. And, you know, that's kind of prerequisite for a striking winger. No, I don't honestly understand what Werner brings, and I do wonder whether when Odegaard is back, whether Werner's going to get a look in, other than maybe the odd European game, because I think Odegaard brings so much more. I agree that Son, it was probably the right decision to take Son off after 70 minutes. Personally, and I know this will probably raise some eyebrows, I'd have bought Bergvall on to see what he could do against the tiring and despondent West Ham team. And I was a bit disappointed in the end that we didn't score a couple more goals.
Bergvall had a slight knock away to Sweden. He came back early, and I just think Ange probably thought we got this game won. I won't risk him. So I think that was probably. I love Bergvall. I really like what I see him as player, you know. But with the Werner thing, the difference is when I was very critical of, I didn't want Johnson when he first come, but I warmed to him. Right, I've seen things in him now which I haven't seen before, and I always said, well, the thing with Johnson, he's got potential. But Werner's reached his ceiling. He's not going to get any better at 28 years of age.
No.
What Johnson has shown this morning, especially with that first goal away at Coventry, with all that pressure on that poor lad's shoulders, right? The abuse he was receiving. That was such a composed finish. And 3 of his finishes have been excellent that I've seen. The first class finishes, right? 3 of them. There might be more, but I think 3. And I thought, Werner's got no composure in front of goal. The shutter's come down. He's just like, he's a hit and hope merchant in the box.
There were some comments in the chat. That's Kate. He's gone. Red carded like Saliba, which I might, if I get some time, I'd like to talk about that. A couple of the decisions today. But Chang, I need to refill my water, so I'm going to bring you in on this. But I mean, are we talking taxi for Werner?
Wow, taxi for Werner. Yes, I get it that the jury is still out on Werner, and that his inability to find the back of the net is what's getting on many of our nerves. I'm not gonna lie, and to say that he's not a good player, I think would be a big injustice, given how he's been able to do so well for Leipzig in the Bundesliga. But you have to understand, all of us have to understand, especially the fans who have been getting on his back, that the Bundesliga is a completely different playing environment entirely compared to, say, the Premiership or even over in Britain. I would still give him the benefit of maybe till the end of the calendar year, see if we can turn it around for the next 2.5 months before we usher in the year 2025. And if things don't work out for Werner, there's always the option of cutting short on his loan, much like what United did with Sergio Reguilon last season. Because if we really do find ourselves in the business end of the Europa League or the domestic cups, or even the Premiership for that matter, if we find ourselves in a reckoning for top 4 and we need to cement on our top 4 credentials by bringing in someone that can replace or even be a long-term answer for ushering Son out the door, then I don't see why we should hang on to Timo Werner any longer. But as I just mentioned, it's only October. We still have to get through the months of November and December. I mean, it's hard to say. We never know if Timo Werner may just turn a corner this coming midweek if he is given the opportunity to start ahead of Son against Alkmaar. For me, I would love nothing more than to see success and also, our players do well for us. And for Werner, that's not much different for him to say someone like a Bergvall or Archie Gray or even Moki Moore. So I would give Timo Werner the benefit to the end of the calendar year of 2024, and let's see where the next 2.5 months brings for Timo Werner.
Okay, very quickly, because I will move on, because I think we're talking. I was going to ask you one question. The young South Korean boy who's coming in January. How much do you know about him?
Heung-min.
Yeah, Heung-min. I mean, honestly, before we signed him, I knew absolutely nothing of him. I didn't even know that we were even signing a Korean when we went to Korea during our preseason tour. But I have been following him since the news broke that we will be, bringing him in, much like Pepe Matassar and Udogi, who were still on loan with their parents, with their parent club before we brought them in. And I'm very excited to see what Heung-min can bring for us. Although I know a lot of people will be focusing on Heung-min, but we still have to keep in mind we still have Alejo Valise to bring in, and he was signed a lot sooner than Heung-min. So this is that process which I think that a lot of the Spurs fans, especially the I don't want to be generalizing here, but let's just say the younger Spurs fans who need to have that instant gratification, who feel that we need to sign players to fit the system and that can walk into the team instantly. People like Alejo Valise or Heung-min or even Luka Vuskovic, Ashley Phillips, we need to give them time. They aren't tailor-made for the Premiership the moment we signed them. So for Heung-min if he is scoring for his parent club over in Korea, and if he
Chang, sorry, I should have made the question more specific. Is he a player that's going to come straight into the first team squad, or is he going to be a player that needs to go out on loan or play with the under-21s for a while?
I think he needs to go on loan, honestly. If he can play for the under-21s over in Anfield, then why not? Even better, much like our Will Lancashires, our Mikey Moores, even our Dane Scarlets for that matter. If he can play locally, especially with the group of players that he knows that he's going to be playing with, if he does make the grade to the senior squad in a couple of seasons' time, then yes, I would love very much to have him locally with our under-18s or under-21s. But if he does make the grade, much like, say, a Mikey Moore or Lucas Profile, then he should be ushered into the senior squad ahead of, say, Alejo Valise. And I think when he joins in January, Big Ange and the coaching staff will have a lot of work in their hands to see whether, they can even bring in Valise and Heung-min together to bait them in with the senior squad. And if not, I mean, going out on loan isn't the worst thing to happen to our youth players. I mean, we've seen it done with Ashley Phillips and Vuskovic and also Valise. So I think the jury's out there as to whether Heung-min will be able to bait in as soon as possible. But again, what a signing to have, and let's just hope that he will be able to replicate his goal scoring form for us as he did in Korea.
Ellie, let me bring you on. I don't want to spend too long on it, but the subs, this on 81 minutes, and then Gray and you for Udogi. I mean, I don't think anyone can argue, can they, that Ange got his substitutions absolutely spot on.
Yeah. It created more dynamism, and obviously Sarr's got the legs. He covers every blade of the grass, so he could see West Ham were losing the impotence from midfield. Just strengthened it in terms of hard work and diligence, because that's what Sarr offers you. He's not the most prettiest of players, but he's not a bad player. He's a good on the ball. He's fast, improving. He's still very young. He's only 21, I believe. But he's still very, very young. He's still not fully developed yet. But if he gets more game time this season, we'll see him progress even more, I think. But he has to fight for his place like any other midfielder. That midfield, we've got a plethora of talent now to choose from. So I thought Ange was brilliant. I thought he should have brought on Richarlison a bit earlier, just to give Solanke a little bit more rest. 8 minutes, 9 minutes. There was 7 minutes added on, so he had 16 minutes of game time. Maybe not enough for Richie, and he'll be egging to get back into the first 11. But with only that amount of game time, he's not got enough time to prove himself. So hopefully, maybe I can see him being played against Alkmaar. I definitely think he's a starter against
Yeah,
us.
we'll talk about that. I know Adrian will do a show on Tuesday, but I'll be interested in people's thoughts about not just Alkmaar, but also Crystal Palace, because I think Ange will be thinking strategically about both those games. But I'm going to ask one for the old men, and if you have no idea what I'm talking about, Adrian will tell you who Paul Madeley is. Gray came from Leeds. He played at left back. He's played right back. He's played centre half. He's played. He's played in midfield, which we think is his natural role. But it just a real all-round talent is this boy.
Yeah, he is. I mean, I could see him playing right back against Alkmaar and resting Porro, because I think Sar's still needs more game time. So I mean, I can see Sar playing Thursday as well. But yeah, Gray for you, doggy. Yeah, I like Archie Gray. I've watched him before he came to Spurs. This kid is a talent. Total different kettle of fish to Bergvall, of course. They're so different. They're as different as chalk and cheese. But like what he brings, he's quick. He's quick on the ball. The kid's got a good tackle on him as well. Like, you know, he's got good recovery. So whether he does turn into a number 6, all this 6, 8, and 10, I get sick of these modern day descriptive narratives, these numbers. I mean, to me, defensive midfielder, attacking midfielder, central midfielder, it was back in the day, or you call them holding players, right? Which is only that term. Every year they invent some new poncy descriptive narrative for something that doesn't, something you already know about. So yeah, I Gray for you, doggy. Yeah, I see that happening. Well, actually, we haven't really discussed Spence, have we?
Well, Spence can't play. Spence was
not
injured.
playing Europe,
he can't play on
Palace.
He can't
Palace,
play
you know?
Thursday.
Yeah,
That's looking like folly.
and that is the other issue. Bringing Heung-min Hook in.
Ellis had to leave us rather.
You know, and the other thing, like bringing Heung-min Hook in, and I would put him straight in the squad from what I've seen of this player. I've watched a lot of video footage of him. And
Can I ask Steve one question? You're in the chat.
Yeah.
Why only one bird? I mean, seriously, mate. You need to shape up if you're going to be on this show. Shape up. one a night. Come on, get a grip of yourself.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I hope you all enjoyed that.
Yeah. So the other thing with that, just to go back on the Heung-min Hook, is I like him because he scores goals, and he scores good goals. And he's got a shot on him, like, and he can play across the creek. And the ring I'd bring him into the side is because we're a bit light on the right, and he can play on the right, and he would cover for Johnson on the right. You know, that Decky seems to have found a new niche, you know. So, but Gray's got to be given time, and so has Bergvall. I mean, I can see them both be given games on, you know. We've not lost a Europa League game at the stadium. We've won all 6 we've played in the Europa League.
Another one. We'll talk about the team in a minute. But, I mean, Kate makes a point. I mean, you don't want to criticise Ange because all these decisions are easy looking back on, Jem, but this is a decision that's looking increasingly bad with each week that goes on.
The decision about Spence?
Yeah, sorry, I've got it on the screen. Not having Spence.
It is. It's one of those things. You know, decisions are taken, I'm sure, for the right reason at the time, but with the value of some hindsight, yeah, you probably have put him in there. I'd like to see the youngsters coming in during the week. I'm a big fan of bringing the youngsters in. And it kind of leads to the question: if you got Lancashire in there and you got Mikey Moore in there, you know, is there realistically an opportunity for Richarlison going forward? Personally, I'd rather have the youngsters in there, but
yeah, okay. We'll come on to next the game, the red card incident. I'm just trying to think where your seats were. Jem, you'd have had a pretty good view of that.
Yeah.
Chang and I watched on telly. Any thoughts?
Well, it was very surprising that he wasn't sent off straight away. You know, we could see that hands had been raised. I think it was probably right that Mickey van der Ven was booked He also raised his hands, albeit in response to what he perceived as a bit of a kicking from Kudus. But I think it was absolutely the right decision. Frankly, I think he was lucky to get away with one red card.
Yeah, well, I think that might come. For those of you in the chat, I'm an ex-referee, and if you look at Andy Madley's positioning, it was right on top of him, which is not good. And if you look, he moves away. You're meant to move away to give yourself a wider perspective because you can't actually see. If you're too close to an incident, you can't see. And I think when I watched it a second and third time in his defence, it all happened. It was far too close to him, and that's why he needed the VAR. But I think he committed certainly two red card offences. I think his hands went into Sarr's face. I think it was Sarr's face as well. And if you remember the sending off of, I think, Rashford at Old Trafford the day we lost 1-6 there was nothing in that. But he put his hand into Lamella's face, and the law.
That was Martial. That was Anthony Martial.
Yeah, sorry.
It was Anthony Martial.
Yeah. If you raise your hands to an opponent, fine. But if you make contact with their face, it's now an automatic red. Adrian, what was your perspective? Of that incident?
Well, it all happened on a pushing and shoving. I thought there might have been a couple of red cards with the West Ham fans going a bit over the top. The West Ham players going a bit over the top. Sorry. Definite red. But the Decky yellow. I mean, I like the players I'm defending. I thought that yellow for Decky was a bit harsh. To be honest. Well, the West Ham players, look, they were losing it. They were losing the game. They're under pressure. Kudus is wound up now. The game's lost virtually. They don't like it, and they crumbled, and their discipline just went, didn't it? So it was a definite red, though. You knew him before he walked to the screen that he was going to send him off. As soon as he walked into the screen, you said. Yeah. But I've got some sympathy with the referee because, one, I don't think any referee generally wants to have to send a player off, and I think he thought he could calm it with a couple of yellows or something and calm it all down rather than book half a dozen players, right? But actually, I thought there should have been more bookings, if not another sending off in there.
Yeah, actually, when it happened, I thought there might be three. I thought if you're seeing smoke coming in front of me, by the way, I don't have a secret cigarette. I'm on my back. I'll make you all jealous if you're in the cold somewhere. I'm on my balcony in Spain. And if I don't put this stuff on, I get eaten alive by mosquitoes. It's absolutely gorgeous broadcasting out here on a balcony with a glass of water, a glass of wine that I'm having to leave alone because I need to stay reasonably compos mentis. But
as an ex-referee, did you think there should have been more than one red, Ian? Did you think there should have been more than one? As an ex-referee, did you think there should have been more than one red card?
I thought, my first reaction there would be 3 or 4. I actually thought Van der Ven had done something. But no, I mean, I thought in the end he got it right. But this is part of the problem. These things, this incident comes out of nowhere. I mean, Kate in the chat there has made a comment about it should have been 3. What did you say? 3 red cards. Spurs Graham says that 3 yellows. I heard about 3 yellows, Kate. I mean, I think 3 reds, kick in the opponent and then 2 in the face. We'll see if the FA revisit that and give him a longer suspension. One of the reasons for bringing that up is I wanted to talk. You saw the Arsenal red card last night, Chang. Did you see that?
No,
I
I didn't.
You've seen it, Jem?
Yes, I saw the Saliba red card, and I'm actually surprised that it wasn't a straight red. I'm so surprised that the referee and also the VAR took an age to upgrade the yellow to a red, and it was so. I mean, just something, a side note to that Saliba red card incident. The amount of Arsenal tears on social media, the moment the screen cut to Howard Webb doing this in the stands. That was just so comical. I mean, it was a red card all day long. I remember there was an incident last season. It involved Son. I think it involved Son. Was it in the league game? There was an incident as well when Son was bearing down on goal. He was brought down, and it was a straight red for whoever it is who brought him down when Son was bearing in on goal. This was an even more blatant and obvious red. Think about that Dragushin red card incident against Karabakh. This one right here, I don't see why it should have been. There was the need to deliberate over it, and the PGMOL, I think this just raises more questions than gives us answers on the consistency of refereeing, and also that of the PGMOL and the guidelines as to whether hauling or pulling a player back is an instant red when he's bearing down on goal and the last player for the defending team commits that foul. I think it was a red all day long, and I don't see why there should be more consistency when it comes to this sort of refereeing decisions, because they actually they disrupt the flow of the play, and the referee has to be looked at.
Jim, I read Mark Halsey in the Sun this morning, the ex-referee, who was a little bit critical of the decision, particularly of VAR getting involved. Was it such an obvious error? Couple of things that the referee has to take into account. First of all, is the distance the player is from goal. I mean, people comparing it with Dragusin against Karabakh, and well, I mean, there was about 15 yards of a difference, which is why I think Dragusin, as soon as it happened, I think he's gone, which I think there was even a murmur of dissent in the ground. But also the right back, I don't know, was it White? I'm not sure who it was, but might have been in position to get across. It was at least arguable. Your take? Remember, by the way, it's Arsenal, and giving a positive answer to that question might end your career.
Difficult to be subjective, objective about it when your natural kind of inclination is to say he's an Arsenal player, he's got to go off whatever happens. I felt that there was some doubt about it, but on balance I felt it was the right decision. I think the other defender was far enough away that there definitely was a genuine opportunity, goal scoring opportunity. So I don't think there's any real justification for overturning that or arguing that it couldn't happen. Yes, he was a long way from goal, but he had a clear run on goal for sure.
Adrian, before I move on to the man of the match and then Thursday and Sunday's game, and then we'll let
I think you should mention the fact that Man City's the one after. I'll put a banner in there for you.
I have seen that.
Right.
I'm more because I think Ange's got to sort his team out for these next two games.
I've been busy. I didn't watch it. I've got to be honest. I didn't watch this.
Okay.
Well, so save your time.
You then on. I mean, to me, there's no argument about the man of the match, but people in the chat may have a different view. Your idea of the match, man of the match?
Definitely Kulu. I thought Bassoon was good. I thought Son was good. And then if I'm picking another man, and I'm gonna, I've been highly critical of Brennan Johnson. I thought he was more involved in the game. He didn't score a goal as well. I thought it was good. I thought it was the best I've seen him play, like as just one of the on-field players rather than as a goal scorer.
Jim?
I was impressed by Solanke's contribution, but I would give it to Bissouma.
Bissouma, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kulusevski for me, because without that Kulusevski goal that he had to really work hard for, I cannot imagine going into halftime with the home faithful booing the team off if we were trailing at halftime. So that goal of his, that equalizer, was exactly what we needed. And wow, the way he ran that midfield, the way he just orchestrated everything, you could see why. You could immediately see why the way Kulusevski was running the show, that Big Ange was so comfortable with taking Maddison off at halftime. And a large part, or rather a big credit of that, goes to Kulusevski and how he's even outperforming Maddison in midfield. That for me is a big testament as to the leaps and bounds that Kulusevski has improved for us, not only this season but from last season as well.
Yeah, but Decky for me as well by a distance in a team performance that I thought was exceptionally good. Sonny, I love Solanke. Just everything he does. Johnson, I agree, is improving, and Sonny as well did really well. Let's talk about the team for the. I'll put the banner up. I know you put up about Manchester City, but I really think that. We've had a game there. We've got another game on Thursday, home game in the Europa, and then a more difficult away fixture. Palace, a team we should beat, but an away there's no givens in the Premier League. So let's bring you in, Adrian, to start. Where are you pitching your team for Thursday? We talked about some of the kids.
Yeah, I mean, to me, Dragerson starts. Let's hope he don't get sent off again, right? So Dragerson's got to start. He may play Davis alongside him as well. I mean, and then you could see. I think I would still play Udogie because I think he just needs to play himself into form. Because you've got an option of Spence against Palace, haven't you? So I'd play Udogie. On the right, I would play Gray. I mean,
right back.
Starts, yeah, and what's name starts. Midfield, I would rest Kulu. I would start Bentancur because he didn't have the full game. Right, he's rested. I would play Sarr as well in midfield, and his mother call. I'm playing Bergvall, and up front, I'm starting Mikey Moore. Richarlison, and on the right, see, even Johnson, he's played a lot of games recently, hasn't he? So,
yeah.
But, who else have we got? He's got to play, I suppose.
Well, he could play Werner. Sorry, guys in the chat. Don't switch off. Don't.
Well, actually, he probably will play Werner just because it is this game. I mean, we've averaged 3 goals a game in the Europa League. We've won 6 games. We scored 18 goals against the teams we've beaten. We beat all 6 of them in the Europa League. We've beaten them, right?
Yeah, well,
so, we've got a good record. Alkmaar.
Adrian, that was the one I was thinking, and Del Boy's dad, Del Boy's brother, says give Lanky some minutes. He might be falling down the pecking order. That would be my worry, Lancashire. But yeah, there's a case for that as well.
Yeah, I forgot about him, but
that's okay.
It's no. Well, then then you could play Richarlison on the left, Lancashire in the middle, and you
more on the right,
and play more on the right. More can play anywhere, right? Parkman going at centre back, he can play anywhere. Right?
One match ban, Chris, for Dogzo.
No, he isn't. He had his ban against Ferencváros.
Yeah,
that was a one match ban.
Jem, what are you going on Thursday night?
I may well go on Thursday night. I'd certainly be looking towards the Palace game. I'm pretty much playing the same team against Palace as we started with against West Ham, which means bringing in a lot of the youngsters for the Alkmaar game. And I would have no problem playing Lancashire up front. I'd actually move Gray forward. I thought he looked quite uncomfortable in the Karabakh game at the back. And although he adapted quite well as the game went on, there's no doubt he had a bit of a torrid time, certainly for the first half an hour. So I'd like to see what he can do in a slightly more offensive role. But I'd have no problem putting Lancashire in there, putting Moore in there, putting Bergvall behind those two, and having Archie Gray sitting behind those.
PSV beat Alkmaar the weekend, I think. At their place, I think.
I mean, how good are they? I've got no idea how.
So our start.
Yeah, go on,
Yeah,
James,
our
sorry.
starting 11 against Alkmaar, I think. No, it's okay. It's fine. Yeah, I was saying our starting 11 against Alkmaar. I think the likes of your Dragushins, your Bergvals, your Mikey Moss. I think even Will Lancashire will get a substitution if we are starting with Richarlison, and if we find ourselves in the lead, I would like to see Will Lancashire and even Mikey Moore get minutes. But I think this is the one game that we really hope that Timo Werner breaks his goal scoring dunk for us this season. And as for our
his leg.
midfield, I think Bergval and Pakistan have to start in this game. Although I feel that maybe, just maybe, Bentancur should be getting the nod over Bissouma, seeing as he wasn't even starting against West Ham. So I would actually give Bentancur and Pepe Matassar the chance to gel in midfield if it means giving license to roam, giving Bergval license to roam further upfield. And beyond that, I think Mr. Jem has already mentioned that if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If what worked for us so well against West Ham on Saturday is good enough to start against Palace, then let's just stick with that. And let's hope that everyone comes through this busy fixture unscathed, because we need each and every single one of our players fully fit and firing come end of the month when we take on Manchester City in the fourth round of the Carabao League Cup.
Nita, I don't think that's right. I mean, I think in European, the same as domestic football, that the denial of an obvious goal-scoring opportunity is one match. I'll stand corrected if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure universally across football, that is just a one-match ban. But if you know different, please come on. No one's mentioned the goalkeeper. Is anybody going to give Forster a start?
No.
I wouldn't have
If
a
it
problem
ain't broke, don't fix it.
Okay. Just for my tuppence worth, difficult. I was actually thinking of starting with Forster, giving Vicario a rest. I still think he's a decent goalkeeper. I think I'm going to go with Gray at right back. I know I hear what you're saying. The idea of Davis and Dragusin in the middle, and then giving Udogie a few more minutes at left back, that probably works. No one's mentioned Maddison in midfield, and I wonder, seeing as he only played half an hour, that might be something he goes for. But I would like to see. There's no reason why Bentancur didn't get a full anywhere near a full game, so I think he could do get a game. Maybe Maddison and Bergval, plenty of creativity there.
Well, the bench will be strong, won't it? The bench is going to be strong.
And then up front, I'd like to see Mikey Moore get a start. I think Richarlison will get a start. And then it's whether he plays Richarlison left and puts Lancashire in the middle, because I think they'll create chances for him. And or he wants to play Richarlison in the centre. And if he plays more right or left, who does he play on the other one? Someone said Johnson can play left. I would want to see Johnson given a rest. I must be honest. I would absolutely love to see Johnson just getting a rest. And we will have an incredibly strong bench, whoever plays. Okay, guys, if you're still in the chat, it's been Nita, it depends on the straight red. If it's a straight red for violent conduct or serious foul play, then it's a 3-match ban. But I do think Dogzo, 2 yellows and denying a goal scoring opportunity are 1. As I say, I'll stand corrected. Guys, if you're still in the chat, please give us a like. In fact, the numbers have been really good all night. Please give us a like. Please give us a subscribe. Last man. Nothing in the law about last man, but denying an obvious goal scoring opportunity is what it is. I still think I'm not. I just think it's 1 match, Nita. Please give us a like. Please give us a subscribe. Adrian, you will be back on Tuesday with a proper.
I'll do a proper. I'll give you an idea. Just a few little banners I'll put up. they sit fifth. They played 9 games, won 5. Blah blah blah. Scored 11, conceded 16, and also they've lost all their previous games against English sides, conceding 2+ goals in each defeat. And this is another banner I've got for Spurs have won all 6 Europa League games at the stadium by an aggregate score of 18 goals. So we're not going. So it's just a taster of what's coming up this Tuesday. Okay?
Thank you.
It's all right.
Oh no, it wasn't that. It was I put that up. So
thanks.
Right. Obviously, people will start signing off. But
all right, okay.
All right. Well, I think we've run an hour and 54 minutes. That's pretty good. Thank you, Jem, as ever.
Thank you, Jem.
Always appreciated.
You're always a welcome guest on your shows, mate.
Always a pleasure. Thanks so much, guys.
Thanks
and you, Cheng, as well.
Thanks for coming on. Adrian, it's us as our co-host to sign off, and I think we will sign off with this one. Good night, all.
They were throwing the smoke bombers out. That's what that booing is in there, like, you know.
Oh, yeah, okay, fair dues. Right, well done, everybody. Good show. Oh, hang on, we're still on.
You do the